Hello everybody and welcome to the Total Gaming Network and CS Nation review of Orcs Must Die from Robot Entertainment. We're going to be taking a quick look at the game here, including the story, multiplayer or lack thereof, gameplay, and sound, and you will hear it all from my lovely voice. Enjoy! First up, as you can tell from the main menu, we don't have many options here. Controls are pretty much set in stone. I know that's going to upset some people, but it's really not that big of a deal unless you really hate WASD control schemes. There are 3 difficulties. Warmage is the first difficulty that actually allows you to get 5 skulls per round, which skulls enable you to get upgrades, and we'll talk more about that later, don't worry. You can see there's also an online leaderboard, but without any more to do, let's just jump right into the game.
I've spent 300 years fighting for the Order. I've killed thousands of orcs.
The story for Orcs Must Die is told through a series of drawn / cartoony looking storyboard type still frames. They do go through a series of them while telling the story. They are few and far between. I've noticed one at the beginning of the game and after Act 1 and after Act 2. There isn't a huge deal of story here. Basically, hey, you're like the last main survivor of this human race after your buddies were attacked by orcs. And they're all overlaid with narration that tells you what's going on. They're often a little bit humorous, not too much. You're not going to be busting a gut laughing, but they are pretty good. Sounds for the game, there isn't too much to speak of. There's some music. It's really kind of upbeat, gives you a sense of, hey, you got to get this stuff done. It's again not going to win any awards for sound. The music's not too bad. It's not the greatest thing ever. It's not like some swelling orchestra coming at you or anything, but it's good. The weapons, they sound a little, I don't know, weak. The crossbow is just a light. You can hear that in the video as well. Nothing to really write home about there. The traps, since there are so many different traps, they all do sound very distinctly different. So that is good. Like you'll be able to tell when like the wall spikes are shooting out, or when the floor traps are springing and shooting enemies off to the side or something. So those are all great. I don't know. I really don't know what more they could have done with that. Like maybe the weapons, give them a little bit more bass, give them a little bit more oomph, more power behind them, but it's not going to be any huge deal there. It's not going to be a deal breaker for this game, that's for sure. There is no multiplayer in this game. The closest you can get to multiplayer are the online leaderboards, which integrates very nicely into Steam. You do get to see where your friends are on Steam, how you relate to them. You do get to see where you are in the global rankings, and it's for all the difficulties. There's really nothing too extensive about the multiplayer, and for a game like this, it's kind of difficult to really have multiplayer, at least competitive. Maybe they could have done cooperative, but then it would have completely ruined the story elements. It's a trade-off, but for the price, you really don't need multiplayer. What's great about it though is that, yeah, you can kind of have like a metagame type going. If you want to beat your friend's scores, go ahead. I know I've replayed a couple levels just to try and beat some of my friends' scores, and I've had a blast doing it. It's not a big deal to go back and play old levels again. This game kind of lets you do that, and you feel good about it. You don't feel like, oh, it's the same thing over and over again. No, it's nice. It's a nice challenge, and it kind of pushes yourself to do better than what you did previously. Plus, you can use the old weapons, like the new weapons, on the old maps. So that's always a plus right there. Combo system, I'm not entirely sure, but I do believe you get bonus points for that as well. So combo them up on the traps, shooting them, hitting them with your sword, doing anything you can to stop them. You'll get more points, place down more traps, rinse and repeat. It's a very simple style, but it can get very in-depth, very frantic, very quickly, and it's great. You're always on your toes trying to figure out what you need to do or how you need to adjust. At the end of each round, you are scored based on how well you did. If you let any enemies touch your core, if you died, that's always a bad thing. And based against the par score. And you can see all that there. And it gives you a ranking of between 1 and 5 skulls about how well you did. You use those skulls and you can accumulate them and spend them on trap upgrades. You can do it in between rounds or before you start playing or anything. They give you slightly better traps, like the floor spikes will also not only damage enemies, but impede their progress, stun them a bit, so to speak. So that's always nice. Again, not a whole lot of depth to the game, but as the levels progress, you're going to get more and more traps. And then you're going to have to decide what traps you want to take with you each round. You always get to choose at the beginning of each round what you want to have with you. You get to decide where you want to lay them all. And each level is very different. There's always something new, something interesting to try and figure out what you want to do in the level. Some levels will have pits that you can see if you want to set traps up to shoot those enemies into the pits for like an instant kill type deal. Or multiple entryways for the enemies. You got to figure out where you want to distribute your traps. That's always important. It's odd because it's a simple game, but it ramps up and it becomes a very in-depth, very, very fun. I mean, it's never stopped being fun. I've played now, I think, about 2.5 hours, just completed Act 1 out of, I believe, 3 acts in the game as at the time I'm recording this, and it's been great. It's not a game that you're going to sit down and you're going to play for hours at a time and you're just going to beat in one sitting or beat in 2 sittings. It's more of a bite-sized chunk experience. You're going to sit down, you're going to play maybe a level or 2, and that's going to take you maybe 15-20 minutes to do. And you're going to be satisfied, and you're going to get the urge later on in the day or the next day or a week from now, and you're going to go, hey, I want to play some more of this game. I want to try to beat my friend's scores. I want to try to get to the next level. I want to try to just get 5 skulls on this one that I had gotten 3 on before. You know, it's a lot of fun. You are going to enjoy it. If you love any sort of tower defense or trap defense or just an action game where you just shoot a lot of enemies that are coming at you relentlessly, you gotta go pick it up. Overall, Orcs Must Die is a great title for the price. You've got a lot of action. You do have replay value if you enjoy leaderboards and trying to beat your best friend's score, or even trying to beat your old high score. You can replay old levels again with the newer items that you unlocked, so there's a lot of fun in that. Graphically, it's not very demanding, but it does get the job done. It's very aesthetically pleasing. It's a little simple in places maybe, but there is enemy variety there. There is trap variety. There's some crazy trap variety there. And the level layouts, they do get very complicated, which is great. It's not overly hard all of a sudden. It does build up to it. And sometimes you will have to replay a level just to get the feel of it and come back to it later once you understand what you need to change and adjust. The audio, there are some very funny lines provided there. The orcs and your human player, they do snap out some one-liners every so often that are a little amusing. They do get a little old after a while, but with the short bursts that you will probably play this game in, it's really not that bad. Controls, very easy, very simplistic. There won't be any problem with that unless you are somebody who doesn't like using WASD as your default control scheme. I know that could be a problem for some people. For me, it wasn't an issue at all. And overall, I definitely say this is a good 8.5 out of 10 game. Like I said, great value for the price here. I've wasted time just starting it up, completing a level, and like 15-20 minutes later, killed some time, had a lot of fun doing so. And that's what this game's really here for. So I'd highly recommend this. It is on Steam right now. You should go check that out. We will provide a link to you in the description if you are not already there at the purchase page. And I'd like to thank Robot Entertainment for giving me the chance to review this. Hope to catch you next time at the next TGN CS Nation review. This is Zips. Catch you later.